Мы?
Где мы? Мы в Бресте.
Вау. To give you a little bit of backstory, I went to Belarus last year, went to hang out with my friend Khami for New Year's Eve, and I went to Grodno, which has a special 5-day visa-free regime. Afterwards, things didn't quite go as to plan because I was invited back to Belarus and I went to the embassy, the Belarusian embassy in Kiev, to get my visa to stay there and learn Belarusian. But unfortunately, it turned out that I was put on a list of people who were banned from entry to the country. The ban turned out to be for 1 year. Now I can actually go back, at least in principle, go back to Belarus. So I'm going to take advantage of a new regime that's come out, which is to go to Brest, which is another city right on the border of Poland. I've read about a little bit in history, so I'm interested. It has a nice fortress apparently, so I'm intrigued. I'm also intrigued to see if I have problems at the border. Hopefully everything goes smoothly and I'm allowed back into Belarus. So come with me and let's go to Belarus. Okay, everybody, I've obviously made it to Belarus. This is a little bit of proof. This was in my apartment. An overview, it says Belarus Nasha Radzima. I'm not sure how to pronounce that in Belarusian. So, that's got some fun facts. Seems to be like a children's book about this country. So, how did it go yesterday? Yeah, it was definitely one of the tensest border crossings I've been through in a long time. I got to the border. I described my issues that I'd had in the past with entering Belarus. And what happens is that you get off the bus and you also have to bring all your stuff, right? That includes your suitcase, because they're going to examine it, and obviously all handbags and everything else that you happen to be carrying. And they kind of lock a door behind. It's a bit different to going through the border in any other country I've been in Europe. So when I went to the border guard, it had actually been the first time that she had to process someone under this 5-day visa-free regime, because it's quite new. It only started I guess January 1st, I think, for this particular city, Brest. So that's like 2 months ago. And it was the first time doing it. She had to make a few calls, speak to some colleagues. So it took a while. I was actually the last person basically to be going through. So it took about 15 minutes for her to process everything, but she was really friendly. And which is cool because, there were no issues. She actually thought it was my first time in Belarus. Which of course I agreed with. It is my first time in Brest, Belarus, at least. So when I was going through, I didn't actually understand one of her questions, and there was a girl who'd been on the bus with me, and she quite kindly offered to help a little bit in case I didn't understand something. So she actually waited with me, which helped a lot, not just with me getting through the border control, the passport control itself, getting my passport stamped, making sure that my visa-free, status is all fine. Also, then I had to go into customs and have my goods or my belongings also vetted, and she also stood around there in case I had an issue. The border guard, the customs officer, I kid you not, actually reminded me a little bit of Lukashenko without the mustache. I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that I was in Belarus, and he asked me a few questions like, am I carrying drugs? What's in my suitcase? I said I have clothes and a camera. Of course, my camera happens to be a drone, which I wasn't sure if they would be very cool with. Drones are not illegal from what I read in Belarus. It is illegal to film official buildings or something like that. It's not very clear to me. And I saw another video on YouTube where someone went around Minsk and actually spoke to police officers, and they didn't even seem to have a consensus themselves about, what the rule exactly is and whether they would enforce it or not. But this particular customs officer just asked me if I had drugs and all these things, then looked at the suitcase, and he didn't examine it any further. Luckily, everything went well. Hopped back on the bus, got to Brest. I had a walk around this morning, this afternoon. I actually went out last night, of course, in Brest. It's not super crazy nightlife, judging by Friday night, just a few bars. But I did have a good time, and I met a few local people already, and actually met So a Spanish guy and an Argentinian guy actually live here and work coaching the local football team. So that was also nice. And people, as you would expect in Belarus, are really friendly to foreigners. There is very little tourism here. I'm enjoying my stay. I'm looking forward to seeing the fortress, maybe when the weather gets a little bit better because it's been cloudy and it is extremely cold. It's like lower than -10 Celsius, but that's all coming up. So let's go. And I will come with me and I'll show you a little bit of Brest, Belarus.
Саша, первый кто-то, где мы, что можно смотреть в Бресте?
У нас очень прекрасный город, в нем можно увидеть замечательную Брестскую крепость, в нем можно посмотреть Беловежскую пущу, где очень много интересных животных, которые вы можете увидеть. У нас замечательный город, много исторических мест, замечательная аллея фонарей, на которой мы сейчас находимся. Вы можете посмотреть на каждом предприятии, есть свой символ, который вы можете увидеть в виде фонаря. И, в принципе, все люди очень прекрасные, доброжелательные. Приезжайте сюда, мы очень любим туристов и будем всем рады. Муа.
И очень красивые девушки здесь тоже,
Спасибо.
да? Например,
Спасибо.
наша Саша из Бреста. Прикольно.
Это очень прекрасно, спасибо. Замечательный комплимент.
Hey, welcome to Brest in Belarus. So I'm here on the main pedestrian thoroughfare called Sovietskaya Ulitsa, and I'm going to give you a little look around the town. This is a town of about 350,000 people on the border with Poland, and it's just recently opened up for tourists from Western Europe and for North America. It's now a 10-day visa-free regime. You just have to go through a little bit of a process that was pretty quick online, although they limited it to 5 days for me when I tried to do it. It just started in January and I'm here in early March in 2017. So it's quite a cute town, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of a walk through the city center. One thing that I always notice is that it is a good bit more tidier and cleaner and more organized than, say, the other countries that surround it from the former Soviet Union, like Russia or Ukraine, for example. Belarus has 2 official languages, Russian and Belarusian. But here in Brest, all I've heard is Russian. You see some signs, like when you cross the street. You can see a lot of stuff that's actually written in Belarusian, but I haven't heard it at all.
So many of you may be wondering, judging by a lot of the comments I get on my videos here on YouTube about what do I think about Belarusian girls. So overall, I've been here for now about 3 or 4 days. I have to say that they are definitely very sweet, very attractive, and very friendly, as I'm probably one of the first Western Europeans to actually come here to Brest and actually take advantage of this visa-free regime. So I'm definitely a bit of a novelty, and girls are pretty similar to Russia and Ukraine in terms of beauty and values and personality to a certain extent. But they did notice a little bit the difference because Belarusians, of course, find it harder to travel than, say, Ukrainians, and as a result, they kind of don't have the same worldly experience as maybe many Ukrainians and Russians have because of the economic differences and obviously not have as much money to travel, and also not needing visas all the time. So that's something that's a little bit different, but I can definitely advise it in any case as a place to go to if you want to meet attractive women. This is definitely a good spot.
Драники, да?
Да, драники с лисичками, пожалуйста. Это драники с лисичками, с соусом сливочным и со свининой.
Окей. И это традиционное блюдо?
Это традиционное белорусское блюдо,
Окей.
да.
Это самое важное блюдо здесь, да, в Беларуси?
Ну да. Самое популярное блюдо в Беларуси.
Окей, супер. Спасибо.
have what looks like the biggest bison of this group. I'm for sure who's in charge, because you come over to see what the hell I'm up to. Hello. So hey, welcome to the Belovezhskaya Pusha, which is a forest here in Belarus. It's actually on the border with Poland. So half the forest is here in Belarus and the other half is in Poland. And it's actually Europe's last primeval forest. Originally the European plains were full of these forests, but that was a long time ago. This was before we humans came and actually just cleared everything out, basically. And there's actually been some controversy on the Polish side because there's a lot of logging there recently, and that's caused a lot of uproar with some environmentalists. But I don't really know if that's good or bad. I'm not an expert in logging. But I am here to see the park's most famous resident, and that's the big guy behind me. That is the European bison. And they actually were wiped out here in the park at one stage in the early part of the 20th century, and they were reintroduced in the late 20s, and they've actually had a very successful conservation effort, a reintroduction of the species endeavor, because there are lots of them here, lots of European bison in this park, and it's really, they're quite cool actually. Quite friendly guys, big and friendly. So this is one of the reasons I wanted to come to the park. It's actually the main reason I wanted to come, is to come and see a bison in the flesh. Also because it's actually a symbol of Belarus, and I thought it would be a pity to come to Belarus and not actually see one, since this is the national animal in effect. So it's one of the symbols of the country. So I'm quite excited to meet one in person, and they've been friendly to me so far. So I'm going to take you around a little bit in the park. There are other animals here, but this is primarily the one I want to see. There are things like deer, I see some horses and some smaller animals, but this is the one that I wanted to come and show you. So come with me and let's go and talk to the bison.
Привет! Как дела? Все хорошо? Привет! Как дела? Как дела?
So here you can see some bison grazing. Just going to keep it steady as possible. Quite noble looking animals, I have to say. There's a whole family of them here. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. The end of my trip here to Brest is about to come. I gotta get on a bus and go to Warsaw in Poland. That's kind of the first big city over the border, is actually the capital. So now I've got to get there before midnight. As you see, it's just getting dark, so I have a couple of hours to make it on my 5th day, because they count the day of arrival and day of departure towards my time here, towards my 5 days visa free. So if you've enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up, whack that notification bell beside the subscription button. If you're interested in these videos, especially here in Eastern Europe, and if you've been to a country like Belarus, then write me your experience below in the comment section. Trying to create a community here of people who are interested in traveling to destinations maybe that are a little less traveled, especially a country like Belarus is just opening up. So if you have experience, help everybody out, write your comments below, and then you'll be able to help like-minded people. That's kind of what I'm trying to do a lot with the channel, is reach out to you guys there who have similar interests, who like to travel to more unusual places, who like to travel differently, meet local people. So go for it down there, let everybody know. And I will see you guys in the next video from Brest, Belarus. It's do svidania.
Language Czar.